The Hyperloop. Say what you will about the man, but Elon Musk is a visionary. The billionaire has spent the better part of his life developing solutions to several of mankind's issues, whether it's space travel with SpaceX, sustainable transportation with Tesla, or even the pioneer of online payments that was and is PayPal. However, while Elon has already achieved more in a few decades than most people could possibly dream of achieving in multiple lifetimes, he's still looking to implement his magnum opus, the Hyperloop. The transportation project has been incredibly controversial over the years. Some believe it'll work, while others think it's no more than a pipe dream and a disaster waiting to happen. Nevertheless, there have been incredible levels of progress for the Hyperloop that show that this technology really could live up to what its proponents say. So, in this video, we decided to give you a little look into what the Hyperloop really is. We'll talk about the companies that are involved in leading the charge, the progress they've made, and how this transportation concept really is shaping up. What is the Hyperloop? If you really believe what proponents say, the Hyperloop could easily become the greatest leap forward in the history of mankind's transportation infrastructure. If successful, the project could easily become the fastest way for people to cross the surface of the Earth, and it could literally upend the global transportation landscape as we know it. But for many who don't believe in it, the Hyperloop is nothing more than just a piece of science fiction that most of its proponents are hyping up, even though they don't have much scientific backing for it. Well, joke's on these detractors because the Hyperloop is now on the cusp of reality. The idea for the Hyperloop was first brought to life back in 2012 by Elon Musk. In a white paper, Musk explained his vision for a futuristic transportation system that would make use of individual pods filled with passengers, moving through a partial vacuum made out of steel tubes. As Musk explained at the time, the Hyperloop's unique design would allow it to address the two major challenges of traditional ground travel systems: friction and air resistance. To explain his vision, Musk used the hypothesis of a person traveling from Los Angeles to San Francisco. Moving between the two cities by bus would take at least 8 hours, while a train ride would take 4 hours. A person traveling by air would spend between 1.5 to 3 hours, plus they'd also have to deal with a lot of complex travel realities. With the Hyperloop, Musk claimed that the travel time between both cities would be slashed to just 30 minutes, while passengers would also be able to enjoy a much more straightforward travel experience. When Musk first launched the idea of the Hyperloop, many believed that it would never come to fruition. The biggest issue with it was the fact that it was too expensive. The billionaire's first idea for a Hyperloop train would cost about $6 billion at the time, and no one was willing to pony up such an amount. Still, the interest was there. The fact that the project would link cities in such a direct and seamless way was almost too good to be true, and a lot of people actually believed that it could completely revolutionize travel as we know it today. To make things better, Musk also claimed that he wanted the idea of the Hyperloop to be open-sourced. So, he encouraged even more people and companies to come up with their own ideas for the Hyperloop, regardless of whether they wanted him to be involved or not. This led to the formation of several other companies that were looking to do something similar, and soon enough, the concept of the Hyperloop continued to gain massive traction. Each of these companies has mostly focused on a specific aspect of Hyperloop technology. Some focus on building runners, while others focus on building the trains themselves. Others can focus on building things like parts and components that support different aspects of the architecture. At the end of the day, everyone just wants to see this stuff built. Now, like we said, Hyperloop technology has continued to grow considerably over the years. And the interesting thing here is that Elon himself has kind of taken a back seat on this one. The man's time is spent running platforms like X, Tesla, SpaceX, and the Boring Company, so you'd kind of cut him some slack if he decided not to focus so much on the Hyperloop concept. Nevertheless, several companies have taken up the mantle in Musk's absence. We've been waiting almost 2 decades for a functional Hyperloop concept, but we've not seen much by way of that just yet. Still, it's worth understanding the companies that are looking to jump on Musk's bandwagon to change the way we move across cities and the progress they've made so far. Virgin Hyperloop 1. Among the many companies looking to bring the Hyperloop to life, easily the most popular has been the Virgin Group. The The brainchild of Sir Richard Branson, the Virgin Group has made several strides when it comes to transforming the face of travel, whether it's through Virgin Airlines or the Virgin Galactic Spaceflight Company. For the Hyperloop, however, Virgin's offer is the Virgin Hyperloop One. The company was incorporated by Shervin Pishevar, an investor who was actually one of the people who gave Elon Musk the push to begin developing his Hyperloop designs. Instead of working with Musk, Pishevar began his own company and started out with a partner named Brogan Bambrogan. And in 2017, he entered into a partnership with the Virgin Group. Just like that, the Virgin Hyperloop One was formed. One of the reasons why Virgin was especially interested in this project was that Hyperloop One had already made some considerable progress with the Hyperloop project. The company had already tested propulsion systems and a levitating pod, which had a motor that could reach 109 miles per hour during early testing. Successive tests brought the pod to a speed of about 240 miles per hour, and Hyperloop One also built an airlock that could transition the pod from pressurized to depressurized space in only a few minutes. By 2020, the Virgin Hyperloop One was so far along that they had developed a second iteration that took things even further. The XP2, as it was called, had its first human trials in November of that year, and it was a pretty smashing success. The XP2 hit a top speed of about 107 miles per hour, and by January 2021, the Virgin Group released a design for a 28-seater pod that could be modified to transport thousands of passengers every hour. The project got an incredible amount of hype. And by that same year, several countries had already shown interest in bringing the Virgin Hyperloop to their home shores. Most prominently, Virgin published a proposal for a 300-mile travel route that would go through the Baltic Sea and connect Helsinki and Stockholm. All in all, this route would be traversed in under 30 minutes, and it'll provide a significant time cut for anyone looking to travel between both cities, as well as the several cities that stand between them. Interestingly, Virgin Hyperloop One had also submitted a proposal to build a transportation line between Pune and Mumbai in India back in 2019. Travel between both cities is estimated to span about 3.5 hours, but Virgin Hyperloop One was looking to cut that to just 30 minutes. Theoretically, this would be incredibly beneficial for the 130 million people estimated to travel between both cities by 2026. Sadly, Hyperloop One has since changed its course. Last year, the company abandoned its plans for passenger travel in what appeared to be a cost-cutting measure. It also laid off a considerable percentage of its staff and announced that it would instead focus on using its technology to optimize logistics for businesses looking to move freight. It is also worth noting that the Virgin Group has since dissociated itself from this concept, with the company now changing from Virgin Hyperloop back to the original Hyperloop One. Did the guys at Virgin know something? Is there a broader reason for this rebrand? We really don't know. Transpod. While Hyperloop One appears to be hanging on by a thread at this point, one company that seems to be doing better is Transpod. A Canadian company, Transpod is making some impressive waves with its flagship product, the FluxJet. The vehicle was built to incorporate as much speed as possible, showing that Transpod is especially focused on getting people to their destinations as quickly as possible. Besides its focus on speed, Transpod is also focusing on sustainability. The company has built its FluxJet to be more compatible with solar power and renewable sources, meaning that its FluxJet will be eco-friendly and suited for the needs of modern-day travel. Now, it is worth noting that the FluxJets differ from most Hyperloop concepts in several ways. Most important is the fact that these jets operate with the use of a moving electromagnetic field under the vehicle, as opposed to traditional Hyperloop vehicles, which work with compressed air. Just as well, the FluxJets will operate using two tubes, making bidirectional travel possible. And with speed still impressive, these jets could actually be quite useful in addressing today's travel needs. So far, Transpod has conducted tests in Limoges, a city in southwest France. And the company is in the process of designing tracks in Canada that would cover major cities such as Toronto, Montreal, Waterloo, and Calgary. The European Hyperloop Center. Away from North America and Asia, let's look at the European iteration of the Hyperloop. While there are several companies looking to bring their own spin on the Hyperloop to life, the European Hyperloop Center is probably the biggest and most ambitious project. The EHA is an initiative put forth by Hart Hyperloop, a research and product development firm based out of Rotterdam in the Netherlands. A few years ago, Hart announced the EHA to be a massive facility that would include presentation facilities, an R&D workshop, and even an experience center. And recently, the consortium has also launched plans to expand its Hyperloop plans across several European capital cities, including Amsterdam and Berlin. And last year, they also announced that Zaragoza would be the first city in Spain to be included as a route for this Hyperloop project. Not much has been heard from the guys at the EHC since, but we expect them to have something interesting in the works soon enough. While it is yet to have a concrete plan going forward, there is no doubt that a lot of work is being done on the Hyperloop to bring it to life. And as companies and governments look to optimize travel around the world, this transportation concept is expected to play a major role in shaping how humans move in the future.